Watson, you should be excited. It is a secret dinner. Its location changes every year. Read the menu. Sounds mouth-watering.
All right. We, the secret police of Baker Street, invite you, Sherlock Holmes, and Dr. Watson to our annual dinner. Menu, entree, frozen rat head salad. Is this a joke?
Not at all. Pray continue.
Main course, sow's udder in Danny Nutcracker's way. Ah, sounds disgusting, Holmes. Hedgehog goulash. Street turnips in homemade juice. And it goes on.
Ah, I can hear them on the stairs now.
Oh, we can't go there. We can't eat that.
Watson, you'll hurt the feelings of those poor children. We have to go.
Oh, Mr. Holmes.
It is fine, Mrs. Hudson.
Mr. Holmes!
Wiggins, Dr. Watson is getting ready. He will be delighted to join us. You don't look well, my young man. Is there something wrong? Don't tell me the dinner is cancelled.
Mr. Holmes, it's my brother Leighton. He's in a prison cell. They say he's killed 2 men. You have to help us, Mr. Holmes, 'cause I know he didn't do it.
Where is he now?
From what I've heard, they took him to the yard, and they gave him a good beating already. You know what they're like. They'll hang him. They won't look any further.
Holmes, we have to help him.
Well, and forget about the dinner? Wiggins, I'll take the case.
Previously on Crimes and Punishments.
Please, gentlemen, leave the scene now. Oh, Mr. Holmes, is that you?
Good evening, Constable...
Constable Marrow. I was here with Inspector Aberline during the Ripper case, Mr. Holmes, back in '88. But then this is nothing like that case. With this one, we've got the murderer, the weapon, and the statements, which speak for themselves.
Of course, Marrow. But you know that appearances can sometimes be deceiving.
But I saw the 2 victims slowly enter Half Moon Street, and then shortly after, the fireworks started. A few minutes after that, the fellow Chapman rushed towards me and ran into Half Moon Street.
Please continue.
I didn't pay attention, but suddenly I heard a woman's cries and police whistles on the other side of Half Moon Street. I rushed over there and I saw the 2 dead bodies on the ground. When I reached Whitechapel Street, I saw Leighton Chapman. He'd been caught by 2 police constables.
Mr. Turner, did you see anyone else in the street?
No, I saw no one but that man, the murderer, the fellow they caught.
I can see prints from greasy fingers upon the cover of this book. Let us take a closer look.
Vamos a ver.
Well now, what a find! A precious jewel, concealed inside a book.
Empieza la cosa. Mira la mosquita muerta del veterano.
A bracelet with a unique ram's head design, a distinctive feature of ancient Grecian artifacts, probably of the Hellenistic era.
Sí, lo que tiró es el trozo, el hueco del libro. Empieza bien el episodio. Nos saluda a Richard Groy. Vamos a ver si le podemos sacar algo más.
Mr. Turner, how would it be possible for a man of advanced years, such as yourself, to rush from his bed to the window in a matter of seconds, as you have stated?
Well, I'm able to move very quickly, despite my age. and when the situation requires it, Mr. Holmes.
No, chavalín. El brazalete. Ay, no. Vaya.
I'm able to move very quickly, despite my age, and when the situation requires it, Mr. Holmes.
La cojera. Es lo que viene al caso.
I highly doubt that, Mr. Turner. I observe that you suffer a severe limp due to your injured right leg. It would have taken at least 10 seconds for you to approach the window. That means you could have easily missed something or someone in Half Moon Street during that time.
You're right, Mr. Holmes. I could have missed something. But it did seem to me that everything happened so quickly. Time can pull tricks on you.
And what of everything else that you told us? Mr. Turner, it is vital that we have your complete and true statement.
Mr. Holmes, I do assure you that the other things I said were most sincere.
¿Y el brazalete qué, chaval?
Mr. Turner, you were not sincere with me. Not then, and not now.
But Mr. Holmes...
This, Mr. Turner, does not look like anything that a poor man might possess. It is worth more than the home that you live in.
I can explain.
No, merely correct me if I am wrong. You saw Leighton Chapman through the window, but you also noticed a glittering object on the ground, this precious jewel. You walked down and took the bracelet from the body of Kenneth Butler, and when you heard the whistles, you hurried away. That broke your walking stick. It caught fast between the cobbles. Constable Marrow was unable to see you in the window as you were climbing up the stairs on your way back to your flat. Upon returning home, you hid the precious jewel inside a book.
Mr. Holmes, please don't send me to prison. I didn't do anything bad. I'm just a poor man. When I chanced upon the bracelet, I saw it as an opportunity to make a little money. I was desperate. I only took the bracelet, that's all, I swear.
You made a mistake by lying to me. But you are not a criminal. I believe that. Although I must return this bracelet to its rightful owner.
Qué bueno que es.
That's why it's better to stay at home at night.
Yes. Digo, sí. Bueno, pues veamos si hemos cumplido con nuestras tareas aquí. Resolver el misterio, investigar la escena del crimen, hablar con los testigos, interrogar a Leighton, examinar sus pertenencias en Scotland Yard, investigar el brazalete antiguo y averiguar cómo pudo llegar a Half Moon Street. Brazalete de oro antiguo que fue hallado en el piso del señor Turner está decorado con unas peculiares cabezas de carnero. Vámonos abajo a hablar con los otros.
I'll do anything to save my brother, Mr. Holmes.
This mirror is turned towards Half Moon Street.
Qué curioso. Casualidad. Aquí es que nos vamos del lugar de la investigación. Ahí. Ahí. Esta mujer.
Mrs. Howell?
What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting the police with their investigation of the crime that took place this evening.
Well, I've already gave my testimony, but very well.
Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
Yes. I was selling my flowers as usual, and then the fireworks began, in honour of Queen Victoria. I enjoyed those. But then, all of a sudden, a young lad ran out of Half Moon Street and stopped just by me. He had a gun in his hand. He was like a ghost, and all covered in blood. It was dark, but I could see him, because of the flashes from the fireworks.
And then?
I screamed as loud as I could. I knew that a policeman should be on duty in the vicinity. He had no time to escape. 2 constables got him. Then another constable came out from the very same street, and I heard him talking of a horrible murder.
Mrs. Powell, did you hear the gunshots?
I'm not sure. You know, what with the fireworks?
Dice la verdad.
Did you see anyone else leaving Half Moon Street, prior to or at the time of the crime?
No, sir, I did not. Even with all the fireworks, I was very attentive, as I'm always on the lookout for customers.
My thanks to you, Mrs. Powell.
Vale, pues ya hemos investigado la escena del crimen. A ver.
Mr. Holmes.
Pobrecito Wiggins.
It would be my pleasure to assist you with your investigation, Mr. Holmes.
I'm always wondering what's on your mind, Holmes.
Qué curioso que eres. Muy curiosete. Bueno, pues vamos a ver. Resolver el misterio, interrogar a Leighton y también investigar el brazalete antiguo. Así que vámonos a Scotland Yard. A ver qué es lo que sacamos en claro.
Mr. Holmes, whatever brings you here so late at night?
I'm interested in the case of young Leighton Chapman. He was arrested earlier this evening and accused of a double murder.
I beg your pardon? That case is quite clear to the police. Or are there any new facts that we don't know about?
Who knows, Inspector?
Look, you are free to investigate, of course, Mr. Holmes. Chapman was arrested with a revolver in his possession, which you can find in the evidence room. The suspect himself is in custody.
Did you find anything else on his person?
A few personal belongings. Nothing particular, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Lestrade.
Bueno, pues vamos a abrir el protocolo habitual cuando hay detenidos. A ver si hay algunas pruebas, pertenencias de Leighton. La pistola.
So this is the gun that Leighton was holding when he was caught by the police. It is a Webley revolver, a reliable weapon. It seems as though the shells were not removed from the cylinder.
Ha sido disparado 2 veces, eso sí.
Two out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots. Two out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots. A cheap watch, bought with his own money, no doubt. These cigarettes are filled with cheap tobacco. Nothing interesting.
A ver, el revólver y 2 víctimas. Kenneth Butler y Brian Barcori fueron víctimas de un doble asesinato cometido por una persona. Fijo. Leighton Chapman es el único que vieron entrar en Half Moon Street después de Brian Barcotti y Kenneth Butler. Fue visto junto a los cadáveres y poco después escapando de la escena del crimen. Y el revólver de Leighton llevaba un revólver con 2 cartuchos disparados cuando fue detenido tras el crimen de Half Moon Street. Habría que ver, ¿no?, si coinciden las balas. Disparos distintos. El señor Turner oyó 2 disparos distintos consecutivos, el segundo más fuerte del primero. Luego, lo mismo se usó un arma diferente. Leighton Chapman no llevaba encima nada de valor cuando la policía la detuvo justo después del crimen. Estas 2 casan. Turner notó que los 2 disparos sonaron de distinta forma, porque de hecho fueron 3. Primero se disparó una sola vez y justo después se dispararon 2 armas simultáneamente. Y Turner pudo detectar que los 2 disparos eran diferentes porque se hicieron desde puntos distintos de Half Moon Street. Ah, pues esta me gusta. El revólver de Leighton y 2 víctimas, no. Declaración única. Eso es. Las declaraciones de los testigos y el arma del crimen apuntan claramente a un presunto culpable, Leighton Chapman. Nada de valor. Y 2 víctimas, no. Declaración única, tampoco. Declaración única y 2 víctimas, tampoco. Y 2 víctimas. Nada, aquí ya no cuadra nada. Sí, pero dice que hay que hurgar. ¿Y si fuera al revés? Turner notó que los 2 disparos sonaron de forma distinta porque de hecho fueron 3. Primero se disparó una sola vez y justo después se dispararon 2 armas simultáneamente. Y aquí no hay nada.
please escort this suspect for interrogation? Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
Who are you? I've got nothing to say. It's all a mistake.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins has told me.
My brother? You know him? Then that means you're...
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, blimey. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell you everything.
Good. Tell me your account of what happened.
I left my work, and I hurried up to see the fireworks in Whitechapel. I was late, so I decided to cut through Half Moon Street. I saw the first fireworks light up in the sky. I bumped into a constable on a corner before entering Half Moon. Then suddenly, what with all the firework flare, I saw two men. They were both lying flat in the middle of the street. I stopped where I was. I thought about turning back to the police, but as I was thinking of that, I saw a third person. He was leaning over the body that was furthest from me. The second I saw him, he raised his head, and he stared at me. In a flash, I saw his gun, but he made a dash for it instead, and he escaped through Whitechapel Street.
So you might still have had time to return to the constable.
I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I approached the bodies just to see if they were still alive. I saw that one had blood pumping out of his stomach. He was dying. It was horrible. The second one was already dead. He had a hole in his head. He was holding a gun in his hand, though. I took it, and then I followed the third man.
Interesting. Pray, continue.
I turned a corner, and I saw the man standing in the middle of the street. He seemed to be in some sort of panic. And then, Mr. Holmes, something strange happened. I told the police and they laughed at what I said, but I swear to you, my words are true. I started running towards him. But then I was blinded by a flash. It was so bright that I hardly saw anything for a good dozen seconds. But I kept running forward. As I arrived in Whitechapel, I heard a woman screaming. And then I was caught by the police. But there wasn't a trace of that man. Of course, then they found a gun and all that blood. I couldn't see the murderer escaping and all that mess. Perhaps I was still half-blinded at that moment.
A thrilling account, my young man. Leighton, are you able to describe the person whom you saw standing in Half Moon Street?
Well, I wasn't able to see his face at all. It was too dark, and he was too far away. I could see his silhouette.
And what about that?
Nothing so special. He was wearing a jacket. He was quite average in size and his weight.
I see. Was there anything else that struck you at the time?
No. But perhaps... It's strange, but I can't remember the sound of his footsteps as he was running away. Perhaps it was because of the fireworks or the surprise of me seeing him.
Al detalle. Uy, en la misma cárcel.
Leighton, I confess I am puzzled. Why should a young lad like you take a gun from the hands of a dead man and set off in pursuit of a probable killer?
I know. I keep wondering that, but at the time it was like a reflex. A criminal ought to be arrested, and he was armed.
You were willing to risk your life. That was a little foolish, unless you wanted revenge.
No, Mr. Holmes. I was just being brave and stupid.
Ay, que se me ha pasado.
Leighton, I confess I am puzzled. Why should a young lad like you take a gun from the hands of a dead man and set off in pursuit of a probable killer?
I know. I keep wondering that, but at the time it was like a reflex. A criminal ought to be arrested, and he was armed.
You were willing to risk your life. That was a little foolish, unless you wanted revenge.
No, Mr. Holmes. I was just being brave and stupid.
Esto.
I'm sure that you were, but I believe that you may have recognized one of the victims, Brian Vercotti. You knew that gentleman well, did you not?
However could you know that?
You have a typical tattoo of the Westgate Brotherhood upon your hand. I observed exactly the same mark upon Mr. Vercotti. You came to know him from your sharing a past prison sentence. Am I correct, Mr. Chapman?
Oh, God. You're right, Mr. Holmes.
Would you tell me a little about Brian Vercotti?
We were convicted for a robbery. Once in prison, both of us joined one of these fraternities. During that year, we tried to help each other out, you know?
You were quite young then, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we were. We'd only stolen a pound of meat. After we were released, and when I saw what my little brother had become, I decided to work towards living an honest life.
And Vercotti?
He had a hard time. His sister had died in a Whitechapel dispensary while he was in prison. He had no family anymore. Our paths split. He fell back into crime.
So you lost him?
Yes. And for around 2 years, I heard no news of him at all.
We shall see you soon, young man.
Pues saquemos conclusiones. Declaración de Leighton. Leighton Chapman afirma que vio a una persona inclinada sobre uno de los cadáveres cuando entró en la escena del crimen. Leighton cogió el arma del finado y se puso a perseguir al hombre, pero le cegó un destello. Y esto. La persona a quien Leighton Chapman describe en su declaración es fruto de su propia imaginación. La creó para autojustificarse. Afirma que vio una persona inclinada sobre uno de los cadáveres cuando entró en la escena del crimen. Leighton cogió el arma del finado y se puso a perseguir al hombre, pero le cegó un destello. Pues este debería ser el viejo. El móvil de Leighton Chapman para cometer el violento crimen de Half Moon Street pudo ser personal. Ya directamente nos tiramos a la pisci. Doble asesinato. Leighton Chapman cometió un doble asesinato en Half Moon Street. Una vieja y mutua enemistad entre Leighton Chapman y Brian Vercotti fue el móvil del crimen. ¿Qué hacer? Lo sabremos en el próximo episodio de Sherlock Holmes Crimes Punishments. Os saluda Richard Groy. Hasta pronto.